Just a few years ago, I took a series of classes about climate change from a local systems scientist and started to think about, and of course the film An Inconvenient Truth came out, and I started to think, well, what can I do to make an impact? And started thinking, just about a year ago, started thinking about solutions. Because the film An Inconvenient Truth talked about the problem, and it addressed the problems very well. But the solutions were rather shallow that they talked about, and mainly they were talking about how people could buy things that could make things better, like changing out your light bulbs for fluorescent, more efficient light bulbs, or buying hybrid cars. And to me, that didn't really ring true as being at least sufficient to address such huge issues. I teamed up with a couple of local environmentalists, and we started to investigate what people were doing in Lane County in their own lives, in their own communities, towards being more self-sufficient and more gentle on the environment and being more sustainable. And we found several people that were making big changes, and what they all had in common is that they're very decentralized, oriented towards self-reliance, but also working in their community. It wasn't about what individual households could buy. The following series of clips is a preview of what the film will cover once it's completed. We intend to touch on voluntary simplicity, permaculture, suburban property conversion, and issues around food security and the benefits of buying or growing your food locally.
My big concern is how we create this society where we feel we're all in this together, that we care about the common good, that we move from this extremely individualistic, this lonely cowboy kind of I'm going to get my own, that we have so strongly, and move into this we're all in this together. And I think that the only way we're going to get to do that is to give people the experience of community so they can understand what they've been missing. And when people start feeling a part of something, then they don't want to go out to the shopping malls. Half the reason people go to the malls is because they feel like, oh, somebody is paying attention to them. And so if they have fun, enjoyable stuff to do in their neighborhoods, they're going to quit going to the malls and watching television. So start by talking to your neighbor.
So I bought this house about 4 years ago, and I've done a lot of different things. It's been pretty exciting. When I bought the house, the whole yard was grass, no trees or anything, and I had a garage with for a car to park in. And so in the last 4 years, I've converted the garage into an apartment that I now live in, and I've gotten rid of all the grass in the backyard and planted a big garden. And I've set up 2 water catchment tanks, 1,500-gallon tanks, where I'm capturing water that falls on the roof of my house. And now I use that water to water the garden. And I have set up a little bike shed, so I have a parking spot for my transportation, which is my bike. And I have renters that have moved into my house to help me take care of the yard. And it's quite a different place than when I bought it. When I bought it, it was a pretty drab, simple little suburban house that didn't have much excitement. And now whenever I come home, it's just such a beautiful place. It's exciting to be here. Well, some of the benefits of setting up my home with all of these different pieces of life integrated together is being able to have an expression of creativity, but also being connected to the outside world. I sit at a desk job most of my work day, and so being able to come home and pick a salad from the garden and watch the birds fly through, picking the seeds off of some of my plants, and knowing that when I turn on my light bulbs, the electricity is coming from the sun that shone on my house, my rooftop that day. And when I turn on the water to water my garden, that's rainwater that fell on my rooftop, last week. So having all of those different aspects of life together in my home feels really wonderful. Lemon mint in the front, that would be fun to mix in.
Permaculture is sometimes difficult to define, though I tend to describe it as a new buzzword for an old way of being, utilizing or modeling after nature and utilizing whole systems design. And for me, it gives me the opportunity to assess every decision that I make relative to how it will impact the earth and impact my community and our lives and economics. True sustainability that is an even balance of community, the environment, and economics, and how those all go together. And utilizing permaculture and the systems within permaculture, it's a game plan. It offers a toolbox for decision making.
Well, the School Garden Project is sort of my passion project here at school. I have been working on this for 4 years since our building opened, and what I've noticed is that kids, we have a very low socioeconomic school here. We have one of the highest poverty rates in Eugene, Oregon, and so what I've noticed is that kids that often don't behave very well within the confines of the four walls of my classroom shine when we're out in this garden. They're really in their element. I've also noticed this year in particular, I've worked with several kids that are homeless, and I've just noticed that the full circle of planting, harvesting, and eating the food has really changed some of their eating habits. What I'm noticing, the choices they're making in the cafeteria, they're gravitating towards more vegetables especially. They're eating collard greens and all kinds of great stuff that I don't think they would have ever thought about eating if we wouldn't have grown it. So it's pretty exciting to watch that.
I would say one of the most important tools we have available is the idea of downsizing our material needs. Some would call it voluntary simplicity. The benefits of that are that you can spend less time in the cash economy, less time making money, and more time developing one's own intuitions and potentials and possibilities as individuals and as communities as well. And the benefit also is that when you use less stuff, it puts less pressure on the environment. My own project here, my suburban conversion project, has benefited me in numerous ways. One of the most important is it is a pleasant place to live. I look out my window and I see my garden, no matter what time of the year. And it allows me a greater connection with what it takes to satisfy my needs. In a beautiful setting, it's to see the flowers, the trees blooming in the spring, to see the plants growing. I have a relationship with the food that I'm growing. This is an enormous amount of satisfaction to see a small plant grow into something that helps take care of my needs. It provides me with a wonderful sense of connection to the seasons and to the rain, and to my own, brings out a positive potential in me. I have a potential to nurture and take care of this quarter-acre property, and I'm doing that. And it's a wonderful feeling to have that connection with this one little small piece of real estate.
There's just so much that people can do at the local level that would make a huge difference if people were to just really get out there, be active, and participate. And I also think that when we talk with people and people get together and we're discussing some of these issues like the economic crises that are unfolding, global warming, and all these things, that what really starts to come out of that discussion is a common set of values. That, I think that regardless of their political or religious or whatever orientation, people seem to have the same kinds of things that are on their minds. They would like to have good schools for their kids. They'd like to have healthy food and clean water and safe neighborhoods to live in.